Hello again and welcome back. So in the last one we set up the ability to start using our items. But something you'll notice is that if you have multiple swords right now and you try to use them, so like it equips the first one, but if I highlight this one and try to use it, it'll equip it, but it just gets rid of the other one that we had. So we need to do a little bit of tweaks to it. So what we're going to do is inside the player blueprint, in our change sword function that we set up in the last one, I want to drag off right here, and I want to drag out my sword info variable. I want to break it open, and I want to find out if we already have a class selected right here. So I'm going to just drag this down a little bit. I'm going to drag off here and find out if it is a valid class. Because if it's empty, then it'll register as not valid, and then we can just equip accordingly. But if it is, then we want to change what's there. So I'm going to hook this up just like that. You can click this hide unconnected pins, because the only one we really need to worry about is right there. I'm going to drag this way up, because if it is a valid, I'm going to hook the false up real quick. If it is a valid class, then what we want to do is we want to call our pickup item function. And feed that sword info into the pickup from the true. And then we can set our new sword info to the other. So let me just make another sword real quick so that visualize it a little bit easier. So I'm going to duplicate this real quick. This will be my iron sword underscore BP. Then I'll open that up. And then to change new items, all you got to do is just go in and change the item name, and it'll pull all the info from your data table. Which, in order to associate all that, now I gotta go inside the data table real quick. Find my iron sword. Iron sword. Oh, and then I need to change the mesh. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to really tell a difference in the sword. So I'm just gonna use, let's see. I'll use this one for now. Just rotate it up, rotate it in place. That ought to be good. So I'm going to drag that out real quick. So now if I pick up one of these and I pick up that one, I've got two swords. And if I use this one and equip it, and then I use that one and equip it, see, now it'll swap it out. So that way it's always, you don't, just trash the one that you've got. So we'll do the same thing on the shield real quick. So we'll go into the change shield graph, drag this over a little ways, drag out our shield info and break it open. From the item class, we want to find out if it is a valid class. Hook up that branch. Hook the false directly to the set shield info, because if it's empty, then it's just setting the very first one. Drag this way over, hook it up like that. Click that, hide unconnected pin. Drag this up. Oh, wait. I'm going to right click, type pick up item. The item we want to pick up is our shield. Hook that to the true. And then straight into the set shield info, so it sets it to the new one. And I don't have any shields yet, I don't think. Oh, I got one. Oh, I got one. Oh, you're just a mesh. That's what you are. Just gonna drag out a shield. I'm gonna duplicate this one real quick. Let's see, steel shield underscore BP. You can call it whatever you want. I don't remember what I named it in the data table. Iron shield. Of course it's iron shield. So let me just iron shield underscore BP. Then I'll open it up. I only have the one mesh for a shield, so you would just adjust your mesh right here, but then I'm just going to change its name to the iron shield. And then it'll pull directly from our data table, but I gotta set that up in here too. So, iron shield. Alright, I'm gonna save real quick. So that one is the wood shield. So I will drag this over, duplicated. Just kind of stack it up against the wall right there. Then I'll replace it with the iron shield real quick. And then let's check that. So we're not going to be able to see it because I haven't set up the image yet, but if I use it, it does nothing. Why does it do nothing? Oh, yeah. Don't forget to set the use item function in your graph. That's an important part. Otherwise, it's just clicking for nothing. Just doing a whole lot of nothing. I'm gonna hook that up just like that real quick. And then, alright, now I should be able to do something actual, to change something. So use it. Yeah, it's equipped, can't really see it, but when I equip that one, it swaps them out. So let's set up our equipment slots in our HUD real quick. So I'm going to go into my menu, and I'm going to delete that button. We don't need it. Or that image, because we do need a button. So I'm going to drag out a button. We'll set it to 100 by 100. Set its Z order to 1 so that it sits in front of this graph. And you want to make sure it's parented to the canvas panel for your graph. And I'm going to anchor it to the bottom center. The reason I'm doing it for that is because I'm going to have 3, so I want them evenly spaced out. So I'm going to set its offsets, let's see, 0.5 and 1. The alignment at least, so I'm going to set its position to there. Alignment 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. 1.3 looks decent. So in position X, I'm going to say negative 100, negative 250. Negative 250 looks decent, I suppose. Alright, then I'm just going to duplicate it. 0. What's its Y? 0. Oh, okay. I'll just 0 it out so it's right in the middle. I'll duplicate it one more time. 0 it out. And then on this X, I'm going to set its position to positive 250. So whatever this one was, I just put this one on the exact opposite. This will be our weapon, shield, accessory. So now we need to set up the image. So first I'm going to rename the button. So this is going to be sword. You can highlight it and just rename it in the details panel. This is the shield. And this will be accessory. I spelt it right on the first time. Go me. Alright. So now we need to actually establish the parameters involved. So inside, I'm going to drag out my sword, shield, and accessory. There it is. I'm going to create a custom event called check gear. I'm going to move the shield and the accessory way down real quick, because I want to set the style of the appearance of this button. So I'm going to make a button style. From the normal, I'm going to make a slate brush. So you can pretty much just drag off and then click the make that first pops up. Pretty easy to get to. but you want to make the button style, and then we'll make a slate brush based on the sword info variables inside here. So I'm going to drag off and get my sword info. I'm going to break that open, and I'm going to hook that item image right there. Now you can click over here in its details panel. The details panel for this one is over on the left. You can click hide unconnected pins. You can go through this one and just kind of adjust or untick everything like that if you want to. I don't really care. I'm just going to leave it. But if you wanted to, you can. You know what? It will make it look better. I'm just going to do it real quick. Alright. Draw as, get rid of that. You're gone. Alright. So then we want to copy that and paste it below. Hook that item image right up. But with this one, we want to add that tint. Because just like with our other buttons, we want to make a slate color. Because when you're hovering over it, you want to have that little gray effect. So completely white. 0.1, I think. Let me check my other. Oh. Let me check my other icon real quick. So icon, make slate color. What are you? 0.1. Yeah. All right. So that we got uniformity across. So in the menu, so let's take a look inside. It's not going to do anything. It's because I'm stupid. Alright, in the player blueprint, after we change our sword, then we actually have to call that check gear function from our HUD. Not our HUD, our menu. Get the menu ref, not the set menu ref. We want to get it. Get our menu reference. Find out. You don't have to do the isValids, because if you're changing your gear, your menu is obviously going to be open. But I do it anyway, because I am tedious, I guess. But if it is valid, then we want to drag off and say check gear. So now, when I equip my sword, or I change it, there it is. So now what we can do is inside the menu where we just established that button, we can go into the graph and put a click event for it. And what we want to do here is get the player reference, get the sword info, break it open. From the class, we want to check to see if it's a valid class. We'll add a branch. And the reason we're doing that is because this button is going to allow us to unequip, to where we just remove whatever gear is there without having to put a new one on top of it. But we don't want to try to pick up an item that doesn't exist, because that'll throw a bunch of errors. So if it is a valid class, when we click this, we want to go ahead and call our pickup item function, hook that to the true, and then we'll just pick up that sword info. So now, when I come in here, if I don't have anything equipped, when I exit out, no errors. But if I pick it up, and then I equip it, and then I decide I don't want to use that one, then I can oh, stupid. Okay, so in the menu, after we pick up that item, then we want to set the sword info back to empty. And then we want to call our check gear function one more time. So yeah, I forgot those two things. So now when we go in and we click a sword, put that bad boy on, take that bad boy off. There you go. And it's staying black, but that's just because we're setting the item info to null. Right now they don't have any item info associated. They're just buttons, so that's why they're like that. What we can do is on menu creation, instead of waiting to check and see if it's clicked, we'll just, on event construct, we will check gear immediately. So now it'll just automatically spawn and be that black empty spot. So we'll do the same thing for the shield real quick. What you can do, just to simplify it, is really, you can copy all of this, even the set style. We'll unselect that and unselect that. So the way I'm unselecting these things is when you have something like a group of things selected, and you either want to add to it or remove something from the group selection, holding Control on the keyboard and clicking it will allow you to do that. So with all these things selected, minus the sword info and the sword button, I'm going to Control C, and I'm going to find some empty spot and Control V. So for this one's going to be the shield. So I'm going to drag this. Oh, come on, go. Alright. We'll just hook that to the thing there. Grab out our shield info and hook that to the item struct. Now we will need to hook this to our check gear function also. So this is going to look like this is going to get a little bit crowded looking, but it'll be all good. We'll clean it up in a second. So now we're going to Control V all of that one more time. So Control V. And I'm going to hook this directly to that. I'm going to hook my accessory button to the target of the set style button. Drag this up. And then I'm going to get my accessory. I knew it was too good to be true. Did I not? Oh, I didn't even spell. Okay. I didn't call it accessory in there. I just called it ACC. Alright, and so now when it spawns, it'll automatically have all that. Now let's pick up a shield and try it out. Okay, so inside the player blueprint, inside the shield, change shield, we need to do the same thing we did in the change sword. So I'm just gonna box select these three things, Control C, take it over to the shield, and Control V, and it's that simple. So now when I use it, there we go, I got a shield, and if I use this one, it automatically replaces. So let me go ahead and equip all my gear. And look at that, that's looking great. Now it'll automatically update when you try to use a new one, etc., etc. Now one final thing, just for aesthetics, I'm not touching that. Just for aesthetics, let us set the enabled of these. So if there's nothing there, then we have it set up to where if we click it and there's no weapon, then it does nothing. But it really looks nice. Like, let me show you something real quick. So I'm just gonna unenable the sword, and then I like the way that looks personally. That grayed out kind of slot. It just adds a little bit of variety. It looks nice, and it's a great way to stay in shape. Sorry. All right. So the way we can set this up is under the behavior node. With that button selected, we'll go to the details, and in the behavior for is enabled, we're gonna bind this to. We're gonna create a binding. So I'm gonna add a branch. The selecting a variable, like if you go through and you got it selected and you just want to bind it to something, like using this is for when you're registering like one variable or one outcome. That works. But if you're doing something like if you're doing math and dividing stuff, or you're gonna have two options like this one, then I like to do it this way. There may be another way, I'm not sure. But I'm just gonna drag out my player ref, and since this is the sword, I'm gonna get the sword info, break it open, and find out if this is a valid class. So basically, do we have a sword blueprint associated with this? If we do, we have something equipped. We need to be able to see it. I'm going to Control C and Control V, hook that up right there, because if we don't, then we have nothing. And that'll just unenable it. So I'm going to do the same thing for this one. I'm just going to drag this up, box select, Control C, okay. Box select, not the sword info, then I'll Control C. Now back out here, I want to set the shield buttons enabled. We'll create a binding for that, delete you, paste all that in, and then we want to get that shield info and find out if it's a valid class. Now one more time for the accessory. Create binding, delete you, paste, bam, AC, nope, not CC, ACC, and find out if we have an accessory equipped. So we'll do that right there, and then when I open my menu up, you'll see it's all grayed out. But if I go over to my sword, pick it up, and a shield and pick it up, then when I equip that, now it's blacked out. I can click this button again, but as soon as I don't have anything equipped, it goes right back to grayed out. So now we can oh, we never set up. Okay, one more thing. Almost there. I'm sorry. Now we got to set up the same on-clicked event for the other two buttons. So on-clicked, and what we can do just to simplify this also is we will just grab almost all of that. We don't need the sword info or that sword info. So we'll Control C, Control V, hook this to that branch, and I want to find out if the shield info for this one is valid. And if it is, then that's what I want to feed in. And then I want to set the shield info back to null and hook that just like that. Now one more time for the accessory. So for the accessory, I'm just gonna do it the long way one more time, just so that in case you need a little refresher or just want to see it one more time. So I'm gonna drag out my player reference and get my ACC info, or whatever you've saved your accessory info as. I'm gonna break it open and find out if it is a valid class. I'm going to add a branch, hook it right there. So remember, this is checking to see that if there's a class associated with what we've got equipped. And if so, then we want to tell it to pick up an item. So we'll drag out from the player reference to get our pickup item function. Hook it right here to the true. Feed our current accessory info in. Then we will set our ACC info back to nothing, saying that we just unequipped it, so there should be nothing associated here. And then we will call our check gear function again. Right now we don't have any accessories, or I don't have any accessories. Y'all might have set some up, but I don't have any, so I don't have any way of showing that. But I can show you with the shield. So I'm going to grab a sword and a shield and another shield and another sword. So when I equip this one and this one, I can take it off, or I can equip something and it'll replace automatically, and that's all looking good. Yeah, so in the next one we'll start working on actually drawing the weapon and getting ready to start combat. So yeah, look forward to seeing you there. Bye bye.